The date is October 23rd, 2025. We look back now, over 3 decades, to a time that felt simpler, safer. We are in Madison, Indiana, a small river town nestled along the banks of the Ohio. In the early 1990s, this was a place where doors were often left unlocked and children played outside until the streetlights flickered on, their laughter echoing through the humid evening air. Life moved at a slower pace, dictated by the seasons and the school calendar. People knew their neighbors. They greeted each other at the local grocery store and gathered for high school football games on crisp autumn Friday nights. It was the very picture of American heartland tranquility, a community that believed itself insulated from the kind of darkness that flickered on the nightly news. This sense of security was not an illusion. It was the bedrock of daily life. Families raised their children with the expectation that they would be safe within the town's familiar embrace. No one could have conceived that this peaceful facade was about to be shattered, ripped apart by an act of violence so brutal and so personal. In the heart of this community lived a 12-year-old girl named Shanda Sharer. To remember her is to remember a spirit full of life and boundless energy. Friends and family describe her as a kind, effervescent, quick to smile, eager to make friends. She was at that delicate age between childhood and adolescence, navigating the new world of middle school with a typical mix of excitement and uncertainty. Like any girl her age, she loved music, spent hours talking on the phone, cherished the time she spent with her friends. She was a daughter, a sister, a student at Hazelwood Middle School. Her school photos from that time capture a glimpse of this vibrant personality. They show a young girl with a hopeful, happy face and a smile that could light up a room. This innate trust and openness, qualities that made her so endearing, would later be cruelly exploited. The motive behind this senseless act was not born of some grand, complex conspiracy, but from the most corrosive and primal of teenage emotions, jealousy. The tragedy of Shanda Sharer began with a simple schoolgirl romance, a relationship between Shanda and a girl named Amanda Heverin. This connection, innocent in its own right, ignited a firestorm of rage in Amanda's ex-girlfriend, a 16-year-old named Melinda Lovelace. Consumed by a possessive and violent jealousy, Melinda perceived Shanda not as a child, but as a rival who had stolen something that belonged to her. This toxic envy became the driving force behind the entire horrific plot. Melinda Lovelace did not act alone. She was the leader, the instigator. She recruited 3 other teenage girls: Lori Tackett, Hope Rippey, Toni Lawrence. On the cold night of January 10, 1992, the 4 girls put their horrifying plan into motion. The betrayal began with a knock on the door. Knowing that Shanda was spending the weekend at her father's house, Melinda Lovelace, Lori Tackett drove to the home using a tactic of deception. They told Shanda that her girlfriend Amanda was waiting for her and wanted to see her. They presented themselves as friends, as intermediaries in a teenage romance. For a trusting 12-year-old, there was no reason to suspect a trap. Believing she was going to meet someone she cared about, Shanda willingly left the safety of her home and got into the car with them. From that moment, her fate was sealed. The drive did not lead to a friendly reunion, but to a remote, abandoned location where the other 2 girls, Hope Rippey and Toni Lawrence, were waiting. Shanda's initial confusion must have quickly turned to terror as she realized the terrible truth. These were not friends, and this was not a prank. The specifics of the torture she endured are a catalog of horrors that we will not detail out of respect for Shanda and her family. The discovery of what had happened sent a shockwave of horror through Madison and beyond. In the wake of Shanda's murder, the town of Madison was left to grapple with an unhealing wound. The town struggled to process what had happened. The trials of the 4 girls brought a legal conclusion. Melinda Lovelace received a long prison sentence. Lori Tackett received a long prison sentence. Hope Rippey received a sentence for her role. Toni Lawrence received a sentence for her role as well. Justice in the eyes of the law was served. But for Shanda's family and the community, the verdicts could not undo the horror. The courtroom proceedings, documented in stark court sketches, revealed a chilling disconnect. The defendants looked like teenagers. but the crimes were monstrous. The case left a permanent scar on the town's psyche. Their loss echoed through the community as other parents held their children tighter. This was more than a crime. It was the obliteration of innocence, a brutal lesson in the deepest forms of human cruelty.